And we are here at Whites of Westport with the legendary Gilbert Gottfried. I would have prepared a lengthy introduction, but I couldn't get Frank to put it together in time.
Yes, yeah. On my podcast, it's always like these. After I do the introduction, the audience is waiting for found dead in his Los Angeles apartment.
So the first question that we have for you is, what brings you to Westport, Massachusetts? And I'm hoping that maybe old Groucho can answer that question.
Oh, yes.
Well, what brought me to Massachusetts was back in my day, they had a thing called a train. And this was something that ran on tracks. And the tracks were on the ground. And the trains would be on the track.
So that's what's so great about not only about your podcast, but just kind of your comedy in general. You keep a lot of these characters alive.
Yeah, I like like it's so weird. I was watching a movie on TV just before I left to come here. And lo and behold, it was this actor, John MacGyver.
Oh, yeah.
I was just doing an impersonation of him earlier. You did it better.
Everything must be run according to schedule. Yes. We will have no slackers here, sir.
What is it about comedy stars and even actors of the days before? They don't seem to last as long today. They don't have that staying power.
And they used to be like those shows that like would keep the stars alive. Those shows like Love Boat and Fantasy Island.
Mm.
And these character actors, they did used to have long careers where like they were always welcome. You know, you saw them pop up in a movie and said, "Oh, you never knew their name."
That guy. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a few on. We had on, Dick Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was fantastic.
He was on the Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal podcast. He was on that. He came on and he said he worked a lot for Roger Corman, who was also a guest on the podcast. And he said, Roger Corman, it was like he's known for being really just saving every penny that he can, not spending a dime on anything. And it was so low budget that Dick Miller played both a cowboy and an Indian. And he wound up really shooting himself. Because you see him as a cowboy fire a gun, and then the next shot, him as an Indian fall down.
So by the time he got to Gremlins, he probably thought he was working on a big budget Hollywood picture compared to the Corman film.
Forget it, yeah.
So in your career, you've had the chance to cross paths with a lot of your heroes. Who's probably your favorite idol of yours that you got to work with?
Oh, there's been a few. There's been a bunch where I go, oh, how did I get him on here? Like, Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, yeah.
Did it. Bruce Dern. I always a fan of Bruce Dern. And just a bunch of people.
And you get to explore the subjects that you loved growing up as a kid. You get to talk Marx Brothers. You get to talk Universal Monsters, some of the old cult films of the 50s and 60s. And that's, I think, the younger generation that's into podcasts, they might not find these things if not for your show.
Yeah, it's fun because when I first started doing the podcast, I thought, I'm doing old stuff. They're not going to know who these people are, and they're not going to know what we're talking about. And then I get these things like, tweets and whatnot saying, I didn't know who that was, but I've been looking it up. And so it's like a fun homework assignment for them.
Yeah, there's never an episode I don't want to listen to. It's even if I don't know the person, I read the little biography that you guys post, and all right, they worked with a lot of people I like. I'll give it a shot, and I usually end up following up with watching some of the stuff that they were in or listening to their music. It's terrific.
Yeah.
and the stories that you keep alive, whether they're true or not, are
Apocryphal.
I was on a cruise this past week, and the entire week I was just walking around like Paul Lynde saying, I think, for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Did your dressing green room smell all right? No.
Yeah.
so, but that's, again, like this younger generation, like Taylor's saying, they go back, they rediscover these folks from the podcast, and they also help to rediscover films that they've never heard of. Of course, you talk all the time about your favorite film being The Swimmer, right?
Oh, that's one of them.
But what's your favorite horror movie of all time?
Oh God. It was funny. I had it was when I did Turner Classic Movies with Bob Osborne, and you have to pick out favorite movies, and that was really tough because I go, oh, I like this one, but then I like that one more, and then, but I wound up picking The Swimmer, The Conversation, Freaks, and The Conversation, The Swimmer, Conversation, Freaks, and oh God, this is The Swimmer.
But even Freaks, like that's a movie that could never get made today.
No, very strange film. And but as far as favorite horror films, I always loved. I grew up when they showed old movies on TV all the time. They filled up, and I loved the old Universal. And then there was even it could also be fun with stuff like the old Monogram. Those were like the really cheap horror films.
You would just watch those for the effects. They're great. It's so fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. And
things look better in CGI. Things look more realistic, but it loses a lot of the charm, too.
Definitely. And I think because I always when I was a kid, I figured out how they did stop animation. I thought, okay, they're moving it still by still. But still, I like it. And sometimes the computerization looks too... It's
too fluid.
Yes.
There's no impulse.
Because it's like with the old King Kong, doesn't have that much definition to it, and it's very sloppy animated. But you feel like you could reach out and touch the King Kong.
A lot of people put work into it. There were people behind that. There was a whole team there was an imagination. It wasn't just somebody strand by strand putting hair on the thing.
And I think Roger Ebert said that he said that computerization looks realistic.
Looks realistic but doesn't feel realistic.
Something like he said the old stop action looks phony but feels realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And with the computerization, it's very I always loved when I would hear in certain movies how they achieve the special effects.
Oh yeah.
Like in that famous scene with Fred Astaire dancing around the room, where they built a room that spun around.
Camera spun with it.
And that to me is like the thought that goes nowadays. They go, how do they achieve that? And you'll see a guy going, well, we press this button, and we added this later on.
They were inventing things back then to come up with what they had to do. Imagination.
So you recently had John Aston on the podcast.
Yes.
The Great White Whale for your show, for your podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anybody left that you still want to bring on that's been kind of evading you?
It's so weird because so many of them are ones that have already died that I would have loved to.
Well, listen, on my show, we can talk to the dead. We communicate with ghosts. So if there's anybody who's passed on that you want to interview, just let me know.
We can talk to Groucho again.
Yes.
I try every time. Every time I pull out the Ouija board, I try and talk to Groucho. It doesn't work. But we're huge fans, as I said. Thank you so much for sitting down and taking the time with us, and
thank you.
And looking forward to the show here.
And so it's Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal Podcast. My Twitter is Real Gilbert. My website, gilbertgottfried.com. And I'm also doing this thing on Cameo.com where you could get me to do a personal shout-out.
And as Frank would say, what's the name of the duck, Gilbert?
The name of the duck? Gilbert.
On Hulu.
Yes.
All right, so Taylor is a singer. He specializes in Frank Sinatra songs. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you want to take us out with any kind of a duet?
Anything that you know that you want to do?
How about some Hello, I Must Be Going, maybe?
Yes.
Lead us off, Gil.
Yes.
Hello, I must be going. I cannot stay, I came to say, must be going. I'm glad I came, but just the same, I must be going.
Beautiful.
Should I come in as Margaret? Should I come in as Margaret Dumont with her? For my sake, you must. No, we don't want to subject the audience to that. All right, thank you again so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you.